Hey y'all, Rob the American here, and welcome to Tales of Manchester and of Watches. Now today I got a special treat for y'all, and that's because the good folks from the watch brand Studio Underd0g are in Manchester today, and they have been kind enough to agree to an interview. So I'm getting my act together, trying to look my best, and we're going to head on over. I hope y'all will join me. Come on. We are in the Track Taproom. Check this out. Look at this, y'all. Wow. And tucked in the corner is Slice Culture Pizza. Look at these pizzas, y'all. Man, if y'all were smelling what I'm smelling, you'd be super jealous. All right, y'all. We are sitting across from Richard Benc, the founder and director of Studio Underd0g. Let's have a chat. All right, Richard, Studio Underd0g, what an unusual name. Where did that come from?
So, like many brand owners, when you're starting a brand, the first thing you do is Google, how do I make a new brand name? There's all sorts of rules. It's meant to be 5 letters long with a punchy vowel, blah, blah, blah. After a while, I kind of threw all the rules out and said, right, I'm an underdog, trying to make my way in this big, scary industry.
Right.
I act as a design studio. I wanted something unique, basically. And the 0 was basically a play on trying to create a really unique username. Much like when you're trying to make a unique password, you put a 0 or a number. So this was a way literally to force it to be unique.
Because I remember the first time I saw it, and I was looking at the word dog in Studio Underd0g, and I thought, that looks like a 0.
Yeah.
And so now that clears all that up. Yeah. All right, great, Richard. And how did you end up starting a watch company of all things?
I fell into the watch industry, actually. I initially studied product design, and that's what I loved. Relentlessly trying to get a job in London, which is actually surprisingly difficult as a young designer.
Okay.
Fell into the watch industry and just sort of fell in love with it. And then throughout lockdown, suddenly I had a lot of newfound free time.
Right.
All my favourite pubs were shut, so I didn't have much to do. So I started
tinkering
away. We are, so we'll say it's a cultural thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I had this newfound free time. I set myself kind of a brief just to kill some time and, what's the phrase? File my teeth or, just refine my design skills essentially.
Sure.
And that was, that design brief was essentially creating a not so serious watch brand.
Right. And so being part of the watch community as an enthusiast and an amateur, there's so much competition in the watch world. And why would you say, what's Studio Underd0g? In other words, why would or should somebody pick Studio Underd0g over any other brand?
Well, I won't say why someone should pick Studio Underd0g over another brand, but what I can tell you is sort of what we did slightly differently to a lot of brands. As you said, there's a lot of passionate enthusiasts. That's how I started the brand. That was my background.
Right.
I was an enthusiast, before I was a brand owner.
Right.
So I'd say what sort of sets us apart to an extent was my approach.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is when I started developing Studio Underd0g, I didn't plan on making a commercial business or a brand as such, because otherwise no one would have said it was a clever idea to create a watermelon themed column wheel chronograph. Where's the market?
We're going to get to the designs just a minute. I can't wait.
That's the one that's kind of captured the people's imagination, and that's a great example of I was just doing something that I was interested in, something I was passionate about, and that has created something really unique.
Awesome. And you actually jumped the gun, because I was trying to remember when I first became aware of Studio Underd0g, and it was your watermelon, what's affectionately called the watermelon watch and stuff like that.
A lot of people call me the Watermelon Man. It's got a nickname that's catchy.
I think it's gone from Watermelon Man to Pizza Man, but I'm jumping ahead. Do you have a couple of watches that you can share with the viewers that really represent Studio Underd0g and things that you are passionate about?
I mean, instantly, of course, it's got to be the watermelon. This was the one that kind of really, introduced the brand to the wider market. Essentially, the concept of Studio Underd0g is whimsical, playful inspiration, but relatively refined in terms of execution. There's a lot of, the colours, the materials are very modern. but there's a lot of vintage, design elements that are, that are factored into it. I liked the juxtaposition between a movement that was designed in the 1940s and a dial that's really kind of modern and playful.
Right.
And that sort of juxtaposition is something that, is part of the design process, which is part of what makes a Studio Underdog watch a Studio Underdog watch. Sure.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the watch that puts you all on the map.
Certainly, yeah. And even now, that's, sometimes the pizza watches are kind of, popping up, and people are kind of discovering the brands through, through events like these.
Right.
But certainly, the Watermelon is the one that's put us on the map.
And do you have? I know y'all have a second series that you've had. Can you share something and talk a little bit about one of these watches?
I'll talk about this one. So this one, at a glance, I guess is is slightly different in terms of this is an 02 series. The design process was exactly the same. And what I mean by that is we took, a vintage silhouette and we put an underdog twist on it. So this is based on a 1940s Dirty Dozen style watch, but then we've got a really modern dial. So this is kind of the construction. We've got a base dial, we've got 7 layers of superluminova and the sapphire crystal, which means the numerals, when they're printed on top of that, they appear to float, super dynamic, and that's the kind of the fun, playful element in this one, as well as the name. This one's called Steffany Blue, which is kind of poking fun at a couple of years ago. Everyone was releasing their Tiffany dials. This isn't quite Tiffany, this is a slightly different shade of pastel blue, so Steffany Blue.
Well, I know y'all do, everything y'all have done, at least to me, it's slightly different than everybody else.
Yeah, and we like to not only poke fun at the industry, we poke fun at ourselves, and that's part of part of the brand.
And what would you say? What's next for Studio Underdog?
We've got some really exciting things. At the moment, our pure focus is on fulfilling orders. So we've got a lot of outstanding orders from customers that are eagerly awaiting their watch. So that's our top priority.
Sure.
But from sort of September, October time, we've got some exciting projects in the pipeline. But I'll keep my lips sealed for now.
I tell you what, if you give me a hint or a little bit, I promise I won't tell. I won't tell anyone.
No comment. I'm seeing a camera here, so no comment.
All right. Well, so the whole pizza watch thing, where did that come from?
So this was very much meant to be a joke. From the outset, this was an April Fool's. It was never meant to exist.
Okay.
Because in a way, it's anti-Studio Underdog. As I said with the Watermelon, it's a playful approach, but when it comes to the design, it's refined.
Right.
These arguably are unrefined. It's toppings thrown on a watch.
Can we see one?
And this is what, that's really what has kind of, captivated people, and people really enjoy it. And it's turning up the dial to 10 in terms of kind of whimsical and silly inspiration.
That's awesome. That's
these ones
so
you can
cool.
only get if you come to to events that we're running. Much like you can see behind me now, where we're hosting a pizza party in the next 7 minutes, and so hopefully people will come and discover this collection and these watches.
Excellent. One last question, if you don't mind. What's the best way for someone to find out about you, Studio Underdog, your watches?
I think at this point, if you Google Watermelon watch, I think I'm top of the list. So that's one way to do it.
Okay.
But underdog.com, the O in dog is a 0.
Okay.
Or just Studio Underdog on Instagram. That's a great way to see a little bit more behind the scenes action and keep up to date with what I'm up to, really.
Okay. Great.
And I'd like to see anyone that's watching your videos come along to a pizza party that hopefully we'll be running near you. Well,
we are super excited. Listen, thank you very much for your time and for talking with us, and best of luck to you and your company.
No, thanks so much. Great to see you.
All right, y'all, let's have a look at the watches themselves. These are the stars of the show. So here's the originals, along with the Watermelon watch. Look at those, y'all. These are the watches that I was first became aware of Studio Underdog. And here we have Series 2 watches. Got the Pink Lemonade, Tiffany Steffany Blue, Full Moon, and Midnight. Now you can't appreciate these watches until you see the looms on these bad boys. They are super cool. We'll try and get a look at some of these after dark. And then finally, the very fun and playful pizza watches. Well, that's it for me today. I want to thank Richard and the gang from Studio Underdog for having a chat with us. By all means, check out their watches and stuff. They are so awesome. And we got to thank the folks at Track Brewery for hosting this event, and for the guys at Slice Culture Pizza for feeding us. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And join me next time for some more watch talk. Y'all be well.